Hey, everybody. Somebody's paying for this time, so we better get to it eventually. But Calumet Painting and Restoration buys the show to talk about and cough into the microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
If he's paying, he can cough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the idea? I guess so. But he is paying. We actually starting we got all sorts of shows behind him and stuff. So if you're listening, this is being recorded on March 18th of 2025. If you got a question about what to do in terms of remodeling your house or painting it or anything like that, please call in 219-845-1100. We are actually doing this show on one of the warmest days of the year, and all of a sudden you're going to start thinking about what do I need to get done on my house and that kind of stuff. Your name, sir?
My name's Rick Suarez, owner of Calumet Painting and Restoration. You know, what you hit it right on the head with the spring coming. We get a big deluge of phone calls of people, you know, deciding to get rolling on their projects. I would advise anybody out there thinking about doing something. Now's the time to start pursuing that and getting your, you know, the pricing in. I mean, you never really know what it's going to cost until you get somebody out there to take a look at what you're doing, and then you come up with new ideas. And it's a starting point to start to see where your budget may allow you, how much work you may allow you to do. Right now, you know, we're coming like at the end of what we call our home show season. That was in February and early March, and it started kind of slow. I was a little nervous about the economy for a little while, but it seemed like it picked up again, and we did relatively well, and we got a lot of leads we're covering now. So we have a special going on to the end of March, and I think there's probably a lot of other contractors out there. Typically, it's when they're going to discount. Would be like in March, maybe even some of them maybe in early April, but ours ends in at April 1st. We're giving 20% discounts, which is our biggest discount of the year. Anybody thinking about getting pricing, you know, we're a low pressure company. We're going to go in and show you what we think you should do. We'll talk about colors and that kind of stuff, and then whatever repairs you think you need, and then we just give you the price, and then you kind of make your decision from there.
And where is Calumet Painting?
We are at 6733 Columbia, across the street from where the surplus house was at there. They have since closed, by the way. So, yeah, if you are in that area, stop in. We have I call it kind of a fun office. We have a lot of fun there in the office. You can come in and talk to one of the girls that are there, one of my staff. And we usually can, you know, we got all the colors there and that kind of stuff, so you can kind of go over some things with us there.
Rick, one of the things that people are afraid of right now, and I'll just put it, is there's two major things that I think are kind of against, and you would be the one to answer this. One is they're afraid of getting ripped off, okay? And the second is that they're afraid that things are just prohibitively expensive all the way across the board. So let's take that first one.
Okay.
All right. You're a fireman. You're still a fireman?
Yeah. No, retired. Retired about 8 years now. Yeah.
By the way, this is your money. So I just ran in. I worked out for the first time before work in ages. I walked into the brand new YMCA at 4:45 a.m.
I haven't been there yet. Yeah.
And guess who I ran into?
A fireman, I'm assuming.
Yes, with a vacuum cleaner in his hand. Ed Lomelli.
Okay, he's working it. Yeah,
he's working at the Y, and I'm like, what happened? He goes, 35 years as a fireman. Yeah. I'm gonna push the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah,
and he looked as happy as you do, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you do a job as a fireman, and then you go into this.
Yeah.
But you got a name. You got it. Well, it's kind of a guardrail that Rick Suarez.
Yeah.
He can't rip you off even if he wanted to because you got a name to maintain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our business, you know, is run on. I mean, I always tell people that if you're talking to a reputable company, you know, not Mike on the bike or Dan in the van, Chuck in the truck, they say, right? Or heaven forbid, Dale that just got out of jail shows up at your house. So you want to keep them guys away. So the way we operate is basically we just go about, you know, kind of dissecting the job that you're looking at getting done. And then we basically just run we kind of explain it to you. I always tell people that I'm not there to sell a paint job. I'm there to help them buy a paint job, whether it's from me or somebody else. Typically, when we get done with a customer, they end up knowing more about painting than they probably really want to know. But, we kind of walk them through, and then they get ideas of maybe how it's supposed to be done the right way. As far as, getting ripped off, I'm always leery about, contractors that asked for too much of a deposit up front. We typically, it's not a deal breaker for us, but we ask for a third down, and basically what that does is buy the materials for us. It just kind of protects us to make sure that the customer, is committed to do the job. We commit our schedule to them. We move everybody around. Once you put a deposit down, you got a locked-in date. So that's really important. Outside, you got a little more flexibility because of weather. Kind of move stuff around anyway. But yeah, I would. I mean, if your concern is, about getting ripped off, if you have us go out there, you'll have a real good idea how not to get ripped off when we get done. Yeah.
And the other part of it is expensive now. It's expensive
Yeah.
all the way across the
Yeah.
board. Inflation has hit everyone.
Yeah.
Where do you fit in on the pricing scales?
Well, we have some things we can control. The labor has gone up. The material, fortunately, on the painting side, materials typically only are about 10% of the job, typically on a job. So it's a small part of the job. So even though the paint kind of probably, I think, I could, just from thinking now, I think it's probably doubled in the last 10 years, the price of paint. You can go across the street.
I have gone across
Yeah.
the street,
Yeah.
and the same paint
Yeah.
that I bought,
Yeah.
I need to paint some stuff over there.
Yeah.
I bought last time was about double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gone
Especially
up.
the orange paint
Yeah.
has gone up.
Yeah, yeah, and so when you get into the better paints, they're all priced in pretty much the same. What I mean by that is Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, Pittsburgh Paint. Those companies, their pricing is all pretty similar. You're paying $60 to $70 for their top of the line paint or more. So it gets up there pretty
You guys
quick.
hear that? For
Yeah.
$60 to $70 for one canister of
Yeah,
paint
yeah.
is just unbelievable. I know some of you last time you painted, you went in and you bought paint for $12.99. That
yeah.
does not exist anymore.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it depends now. Like this is the reason we go in and we talk to people is that everybody's situation is different. If you're flipping a house, okay, you ain't gonna get into that price range, right? But if it's your house, you just moved in, you plan on staying there till they carry you out in a box, like they say, we're going to give you the best stuff because, it's kind of a pain to get that done to begin with. The last thing you want to do is have to do it again right away. So, you want to make sure that it's done right. There's a saying, you get what you pay for, and a lot of it is true. I always say you get, what you pay for. If you hire the right contractor, you're going to end up being satisfied. Whether it's me or somebody else, there's a lot of good contractors out there, and there's a lot of ones that ain't so good. So you have to be careful.
He's Rick Suarez. Let's talk about some specific projects. Now, I saw you guys over there at the Little Red Schoolhouse in Hessville. What was that all about?
Well, we volunteered. They had asked us if we would paint the schoolhouse for us, and we got involved in it. And they had some other contractors there. We weren't the only one. They had a roofer there, and I'm sorry that I don't remember the roofer who was there. They had another outfit that gave him the furnace or helped him with the heating and all that stuff. And we came in and just kind of dialed it in on the outside. We scraped it all down. If you drive by there, it looks beautiful now. It's all red the way it's supposed to be. It had faded over time and peeled. And we want to do one of those projects in the community in Hammond. If we can stay in Hammond, it'd be nice, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in there. So, like, if you belong to a volunteer organization or doing that kind of stuff that you're giving back to the community, and you have a little project that you need some help with, we're going to kind of like get these projects in a folder, and then we're going to see which one that we can do. We're going to select one of the projects, and we probably want to do it before the end of April. So you can call 219-844-7501. You could talk to anybody that answers the phone there. Sometimes our office is from 8 to 4, so if it's after hours, we have a voicemail. You can leave a message, and we'll get back to you.
And so are you guys hearing that? And I told Rick, I go, Are you sure you want to do that? Because there are a lot of people that run charities, that run community organizations, and want to, I guess, keep those things up to date. And if you're offering to paint it as, just a volunteer basis, just call Rick, and, who knows what it might be that you need some help and it's looking a little dilapidated on the outside. He'll come in and do that. Walk us through what painting the exterior of how old is that thing? That's got to be 150 years old.
Oh, that
130?
of the schoolhouse there?
Yeah.
It was in pretty bad shape. Most of it was just had been painted over and over and over and over again, so many times. I don't know the age of it, but it's all brick, which is a good thing. And it had just started like falling. Basically, just the paint was just coming off of it. So it was a really easy kind of a fix for us just to scrape it down. We kind of swept everything together. We didn't get down to the base of it where it would have been a little bit more troublesome. But so basically that was it. We scraped it down, then we cleaned it, which you always want to do. And
what does that entail?
Oh, it'd be a power washing job, and sometimes you look for maybe some mold or mildew that may sometimes up in the eaves you'll see that black stuff or green stuff, and so we put some detergents on there, make sure we kind of kill that off. And then in those areas like that, we always like to prime those areas out so it doesn't come back right away. But typically, if you got around your house, if you got an area that's always green, gets green, it's evidently a good area for it. So, there's other things you need to do. You have to kind of keep an eye on those things. But as far as that schoolhouse, after that, basically we did all the eaves. All the eaves were wood. And so
is that like 150-year-old wood?
I believe it is, yeah. Yeah, because the roofer, he actually put wood shingles on there on the roof, which you don't see a lot of. And then they re-shingled it and did a really nice job. And then we came in and just sprayed the underneath there. We kind of hand rolled all the windows out, brushed all that in. I think we reglazed some of them windows if I'm not mistaken. And then we sprayed it all out in a red paint. I don't remember the name of it, but the lady that takes care of the schoolhouse, she picked out this red. It's really beautiful. And then that was sprayed on, and basically we always try to back roll everything in. If you ever get a chance driving down Kennedy Avenue, it kind of sets back a little bit, so it's not. You have to kind of be looking for it, but you'll see it. Beautiful, beautiful building.
It was built in 1859.
There you go.
It's at 7205 Kennedy, and it was a working schoolhouse. My relatives, ancestors, went to that schoolhouse.
Oh, really?
I remember the old stories about one-room schoolhouse and all the Vaneses and the Deedlows and the Van Gorps, and they were in that schoolhouse. It was a working schoolhouse from 1869 to 1896.
Wow.
And I believe it was called the Hess School is what it was called back then, because they called it Hessville. And it wasn't a section of Hammond. It was just its own
area.
It was its own area. So it was a small area.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple blocks from here, really.
Yeah.
So, I guess I never thought about it. And that's made out of brick?
Yeah.
So painting brick and painting wood, what's the difference?
Well, if you talk to people that make paint, they'll tell you really shouldn't paint brick. Bricks
exactly. That was my thinking.
Really not made to be painted. But people get tired of the look, or it's a lot like inside of a home. Sometimes we'll go into a newer home, beautiful, and the homeowners just get tired of the color and they change it, not for no other reason than they don't like the way it looks anymore. And that's what happens with brick. We've even painted stone homes. Not a fan of it myself personally, but I just do what the customer asks me to do, and I try to do it the right way to make sure that product has a lot of longevity for them. And so it becomes a good investment for them.
So that's the Little Red Schoolhouse. So here we are in March, and you've been in here doing these shows, and we're talking about them, and then you get to hear them later, and people, I like that. I like learning about my own home and whatever, but most of the stuff you've been doing over the winter has been, like we talked about bathrooms, and we talked about kitchens, and we talked about interior painting. Now you're starting to book some of these exterior jobs, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of jobs?
So we do a lot of our business. We cut our teeth in our business on painting old aluminum, steel siding, vinyl siding, and that's a process, a cleaning process, really. So if you ever try that at home, like they say, by yourself, you have to really concentrate on the cleaning of the surface, and if you can get the surface sound. Wood is the hardest one because wood, you have an issue with it, attracted moisture and all that, and holding moisture, and then freezing and thawing and all that stuff. So it's a little bit more difficult. The steel siding and aluminum, they paint really well. You just got to clean them. And then we spray ours on there. If you don't have that kind of skill, you can always roll it on. It doesn't look as good, but if you get a professional painter, they're going to spray it on. So those are most of the jobs like in this area. That's what happens, like steel, aluminum, vinyl siding, wood siding. And then as we get farther out, you get into bigger homes that have brick or stucco, that kind of stuff that we get into. So all of that stuff can be coated or painted.
So most of the exterior work you guys are doing is painting.
Yeah, yep. And we do a fair amount of work for condo associations. And when we work for those organizations, what we do is we come in and we do all the repairs first. Actually, even with the homeowners, like wood siding, anything that's broken or rotted. When we're looking at wood homes, that's when we really run into that kind of stuff. Sometimes on aluminum siding, we'll be missing corners. Easy fix. We just put corners back in. Could be any color because we're going to paint it anyway. The wood siding, we can replace, T111 siding, which is the things that's got the vertical lines in it. Some people call it board and batten. If it's a 9 foot tall, it becomes board and batten. So all of those type of things we look at first to make sure that they're sound. If they're rotted, we remove them. And we work with the homeowner on them because sometimes the homeowners may have their own carpenter guy that wants to fix it, so we let them take care of that. I say the majority, like 75% of the time, we do all the repair work out in front, and then we come in and then paint it, prime it and paint it.
Yeah, you brought up, by the way, it's March 18th, if you're listening at another time, and you want to call in, you got a question about doing some painting or anything, restoration or anything like that, it's 219-845-1100. We're talking to Rick Suarez, former Hammond fireman of Calumet Painting and Restoration, and he does a community programming initiative show, not just to obviously raise awareness about his own business, but to kind of talk about some of these projects. And I know many of you have been telling me how that you think it's cool. So let's get a little more specific. You're talking about a lot of, like, here we are in kind of South Hammond.
Yeah.
You just drive around here in a mile radius, and you're going to see a lot of homes that are old, because some of the older homes in the area. And many of them are brick, but some of them either are brick with a partial siding, which I think is more common. And then there's a lot of homes that are just all siding. Now, there's one right over here on, I don't know what that is, Magoon or something. And they just put brand new siding on it. And I swear it looks like a brand new house. But you can't always spend that kind of money. And one of the problems that is big, and I had a siding house for a while, and I had it redone twice, is the corners. And you talked about, it's not that big a deal. You try to do it yourself, it is.
Oh, yeah. That's why you hire a professional.
No, but I mean, you gotta clip that off, and then you got to get it the right length, and cutting it, and then you got to fasten it correctly. But you're saying that's not that big a deal. Why is that?
Well, because we do it all the time. I mean, the hardest thing with the corners is finding sometimes those aluminum corners, because some of the now, I'm not a siding guy, but the reveal, the width of what you can see on it, on some of the old siding was like 8 or 10 inches, I believe. And they're bigger pieces. Now they've got more where they got a double bend in there. It's the same piece, but it looks like 2 4-inch pieces.
It looks like 2 4-inch pieces. Yeah.
So, but the older ones that had that wide one, sometimes those are hard to find. There's some old wood lumber yards and stuff that would have them corners and stuff. So once you find them, it's not that big of a deal, because you just got to cut it, and there's some tools that you can use to get the the corner in where it needs to be. And sometimes you do have to attach it on the face. Most of the time we can do it without it, but if we need to do that, we can do that. And then when you paint it, really you don't see the fastener that's holding it in. So, so there's a little tricks, all that stuff. I got guys that do it all the time. When we're really good at doing it because, like you hit kind of the nail on the head with the cost of replacing siding. I always tell people this is an option for anybody that's thinking about doing, or bought a home that the siding may look a little raggedy. As long as it's not too beat up or banged up, when you repaint it, everybody in the neighborhood is going to think you got new siding. You're probably the only one that's going to know it.
God, now that I think about
yeah,
it, I saw the guy that hit it. Not only that, it's kind of a bluish thing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Maybe he just painted it.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
And I didn't see a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive right by there all the
Yeah.
time. I didn't see it, so it might have been like a 1 or 2 day paint. Right?
Yeah, and with the cost of aluminum, especially aluminum, but with the cost of even vinyl or steel siding, you can get it recoated probably for about, I would say, 40% of the cost of what it would cost you to reside it.
So what is the siding of choice right now? I know it was vinyl for a while, and then they went back to aluminum. And I mean, what do people the high end siding? What would that be now?
I would say it's the cement siding. I can't think of the name, but there's a brand name. They have that compressed board. It just seems like it lasts longer. It's harder. The problem with some of the older aluminum
it's a composite.
Yeah, it's a composite. Yeah, and some of them have some cement composites to them. And they hold up real well to like hail and that kind of stuff. All of them have pros and cons. Like those that they're a little more brittle. So like if you throw a baseball at it, it's going to break. You're not supposed to do that anyway, but they can break. But the vinyls. Me personally, I just don't really like the look of vinyl to me. But that's my own personal
Why not?
taste. I just don't. It just looks a little cheapish to me. On a house. That's
odd. I mean, as a non-home improvement guy, I would look at a house and say, "Wow, that is beautiful vinyl siding."
Yeah. See, maybe as a painter, that's what it is. I don't.
Does it paint real well? Does it?
It paints well, but it's just a little tricky. It's tricky. You have to paint it under certain conditions because it stretches, and that's why they say they hang it.
And you got to hit it from underneath.
You got to hit it because what happens is it expands when it gets heated, in the summertime, and so you got to paint it when it's expanded almost 100%. And so if you do it when it's too cold, it's contracted now, and so when you paint it, it looks good, and then when it warms up, it pulls up, and you can see you miss like a line, So what was underneath becomes exposed, I guess, right? So it's a little trickier. But I didn't say that to hurt anybody's feelings on the vinyl siding, thing.
Oh, you hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I know. I could tell.
My daughter's got, as a matter of fact, when they resided it a few years ago and they had other choices, like, man, go with the vinyl. I love the way vinyl looks. And then here it is. The painting guy's like, But so the composite vinyl, what's any other choices?
Well, you have wood. The wood siding is beautiful. I mean, it's a little more, like, again, pros and cons and everything. More maintenance with wood. But if you like the wood, the look of it, I love the look of wood siding. Steel is a good one too because it gets hard. It's very hard. It doesn't ding up real easy. And then aluminum is always nice too because it just it's lighter weight, holds up real well. The colors stay on there real well. Vinyl. Vinyl fades like all the other they're all painted at the factory or colored at the factory, and they fade. All of them, they say lifetimes, but I believe me, I've been doing this for a long time. All of them fade. The color fades on all of them. So it's just a matter of time before they have to be recoated. So
he's Rick Suarez, Calumet Painting and Restoration. Now's the time to do your exterior.
Yep.
They're the guys. A, you're not going to get ripped off, and B, they know what they're doing, and they'll give you a good price. Right now, if you're listening past April 1st, it won't make any sense. But 219-844-7501, you get a 20% discount right now.
Absolutely.
Way to go, Suarez.
All right, appreciate it. Good seeing you
All right,
again.
man, we didn't get to make fun. We'll do this next time.
Yeah.
We will make fun of Steve Stanek, who listens to this show.
Yep.
And Maybe
Yes, we
next
will.
time we'll get him on
we'll
about the difference between painting in Arizona, where he never leaves,
Yeah.
to
Anymore.
painting in Hammond.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story.
Well, sometimes he comes back in July. We'll see if we can, if he comes in July, maybe I'll drag him over here with me.
All right,
How's
man.
that? Okay.
Way to go, Suarez. Until next time, we'll see you later on the Voice and Face of the Region.